Rank the albums. Oh hi, you didn't notice me there. Biff's first EP, 4 songs and a poem, all of the songs were replicated on the debut album, self-titled. This is a really good alt-rock debut. It's not high budget, but it doesn't need to be when the songs are this good. One song is an exception, and I'll tell you about that in the other room. But the rest of this is exactly what we're here for. Powerfully personal songs. It's not afraid to experiment. There's some quite different sounds on here, but together they demonstrate who Biff is. This easily earns being self-titled, and if you can only hear one Biff Naked album, it's a good enough choice. But of course you can't only hear one Biff Naked album. That's not how any of this works. Ibificus is another kind of debut, a major label debut. Note that on non-Canadian releases she's just called Biff, because her surname is really explicit. It's similar content, but more assured. The punk pop songs on here, like Choti and Moment of Weakness, are ridiculously good. I think the bits that diverge from punk pop are no longer as good. There's kind of hip-hop sounds on this first album, and they really work. But there's some more like trip hop, and that doesn't stand up as much. Maybe that's aged poorly. Some of the singles on here are a bit too obvious for me, but with the what I've called punk pop songs, it balances out into a pretty good listen. Before I put this anywhere, I need to articulate that there's a version of this album with some extra tracks on it. I don't actually have a copy of that, but they would probably affect how I rank it. This is the 11-track version that starts with Any Day Now and ends with Only the Girl, and it's going here. See, the extra tracks I mentioned are on this next EP, another 5 songs and a poem. Of those 5 songs, 2 of them are 2 of Biff's best punk pop songs, and they were piled onto other versions of Ibificus. That probably improves this as a listen, but as they always do, they also removed one other song that was perfectly good itself. They should invent a means of listening to songs in whatever combination you want. The EP is hard to rank by itself because it's 5 songs long and a poem. And though 2 of them are great, one of them is just a remix of one of her poorer singles, probably to promote that it was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. One is a pretty nasty, unfinished sounding song in which she claims to be a vampire. I wonder where she got the idea for that. And then the cover of We're Not Gonna Take It is just a replica recitation. The poem at the end, there is a poem at the end of the debut album as well. I'm not really into Biff's spoken word stuff. I'm here for music. I've not got a copy of her spoken word album because I'm here to rank music. I guess the EP can go at the bottom of these, as it's not an essential purchase itself. You may as well get the version of the album that adds the tracks that are worthwhile from it. Biff's next release really presented how she wanted to be heard. This is even more radio-oriented, but that's not an insult at all. That just means it's an onslaught of enjoyable stuff. Top-notch radio rock, full of sing-along great ideas. It's gutsy and infectious, like an infected gut. I think one of her main strengths is how she feels like a friend. They're emotionally honest songs, but they're also often a lot of fun. There's one on here that goes, "Let me tell you about the kind of guys who like me. They're in jail." Sorry. With how many different ideas Biff tries, there's often a dud or 2 on an album. Not in this dual case, so that's going on the top. By the time we get to Super Beautiful Monster, it's all starting to sound a bit artificial. I guess these are all good enough songs one by one, but it's just so calculated. At this point, her music is interchangeable with rock-oriented pop stars like Pink or something. And though there's nothing exactly wrong about this release, just when you put it on, it's like, oh, we're doing that chord sequence. Oh, this one goes like this again. It's okay, but it's formulaic and disappointing. Biff's voice by this point, though, is on excellent form. I just wish it was applied to some better content. Then already her most recent album is called The Promise. I think we can describe this kind of as more of the same. She is still going for a Pinkish vibe, but Pink can be bad, but Pink can also be really good. This is the level of good Pink. No, this is the level of Anastasia. If Biff had been working toward a mainstream sound all through her career, and she was always hoping to communicate her thoughts and have them enjoyed, then this is a successful endpoint. Her voice is still on great form, but now the songs are too. If you want them to be ranked by which is the most alternative rock, then that's just chronological order. But simply best example of a listen, The Promise is the best one yet. I promise you. I think. Since 2009, Biff has released an acoustic compilation that I can't find a CD of. They call it acoustic, but it sounds way too processed. She's also written her memoirs, and in the last couple of years or so, she's started to release some new songs. There's been a new album name confirmed for quite a while, but I guess the pandemic put that on the back burner. These new tracks combine her pop ambition with a mature understanding of her existing audience. Yummy. I think with the most recent of these albums being in 2009, that at least punctuates a first career, but I'll look out for her comeback. But simply best example of a listen, The Promise.